So welcome to the show, everyone. This week we've got Katie O'Brien. I'm going to let Katie do her own introduction to tell us about herself and Symple. So Katie, I'm going to pass over to you for the introduction for the property podcast today.
Of course. So as you've already said, I'm Katie O'Brien and I head up all things marketing here at Symple. I've been in property personally now and professionally for around kind of 9 years, and that's covering a huge spectrum of all aspects of property really. So from bringing kind of prop tech innovations to the UK to managing renovations, working as a private landlord, and even setting up an estate agent. So a bit of a plethora of different experiences there, but it's certainly allowed me to see a lot during those 9 years. And even though I guess 9 years is a relatively kind of short time, I think I've seen really firsthand how much the industry has changed, especially in these recent kind of years, and all the kind of challenges that come with that. So that's why I'm quite excited to be part of the Symple team. I'm one of the newest members of the team, so only really been here a couple of months. And the company and the team at Symple are really dedicated to bringing technology solutions to market that really help their target group, being letting agents and landlords, stay on the front line ahead of any changes, stay on top of compliance, and ultimately save a lot of time around the kind of red tape and admin side of the industry. So the mission at Symple is really just to streamline property management, make it much easier to handle compliance, operational challenges, and that red tape. And the company is really there to provide the tools that not only keep people on top of regulations, but also make that experience just a lot more seamless and hands-off.
Thanks, Katie, for the introduction. I do appreciate it. I wanna ask you about the sort of significant changes that are potentially on the horizon with obviously Labour's proposed rental reforms. What can letting agents and landlords expect in the next 6 months? What do you think?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question that we're certainly in that kind of grey area. There's a lot of maybe kind of scaremongering in the media, a lot of concerning articles and headlines coming out. So I think it is important with that question to kind of take a little bit of a step back and look at it maybe more kind of holistically at higher level, because whatever angle of property you're looking at it from, whether you are a private landlord, whether you're an agent managing a portfolio on behalf of an agent, of a landlord, whatever role you're taking, it's very clear that over the next kind of 6 months to a year, they are going to bring notable shifts that really impact our work. So firstly, it's no secret there's been lots of key promises made and they are going to impact us. Labour are planning to ban Section 21 evictions immediately, and that's been made very clear from the start of the election campaigns, which means that we all know landlords will now need a valid reason to reclaim properties. Rayner herself has emphasised that there'll be no ifs, no buts around that, a commitment, but she's not been very clear around the timing. And I think the timing will actually be more complex, even though it will be an imminent change. We're not likely to see a draft of the bill until probably later in the autumn, and it's certainly not going to be fast-tracked for immediate implementation. So I think if we're looking at when it may receive royal assent, probably by the end of the year is a good bet, but it will be more likely to be something that will happen in 2025. What else is there? Labour also wants to give more tenants more power to challenge unreasonable rent increases and put an end to bidding wars. It's ideally to stabilise rent prices, and that's certainly been part of their commentary around it, but it will impact how landlords can adjust rent in response to any market changes, interest changes, etc., which we know over the past 6 months have evolved and changed. So it's likely that will continue whilst these changes are occurring as well. Another major change is there's a proposal to cap the amount of rent that can be paid up front. Again, intended to make renting more accessible, but it could also impact cash flow and profitability, as with the previous change we discussed. And they also plan to extend Arab's law, which currently applies to social housing, to private rentals as well, meaning that landlords will also have to address issues like mould and other health hazards within a specified time frame. But I think if we think about all the kind of headlines, probably the most prominent one from potentially a scaremongering point of view, but also an impact point of view, is when it comes to energy efficiency. So I think that's probably the most significant one to talk about. New standards are clearly on the way. They've probably been on the way for a while, but it's clear that Labour aim to implement something quite quickly. especially around properties achieving EPC ratings of C or higher by 2030. So it's certainly going to require some investment in property upgrades for landlords. It's a good time to get ahead and start planning. How those are going to impact the market is questionable. We're seeing questions being raised by some of the key agencies around what impact that will have. Will it cause landlords to leave the market? Will it actually cause potentially less properties to be on the market and rents to be higher? What will the broader impacts of that be? So we're likely to see that continue in the media, and it's always good to kind of stay on top of anything that is discussed and also any announcements that come out. Then I guess the one to mention also is tax. So Labour has pledged not to raise income taxes, VAT or national insurance. Corporation tax will also stay the same, but there are also obviously those other potential increases in capital gains that will impact landlords and anybody in the market when Labour are looking to seek alternative funding. But talking about all of that, there's going to be certain dates to watch out for, and they'll become clearer and hopefully less grey, some of those proposed changes. So we've got the Labour Party conference coming up, the potential autumn budget later in the year. So it's certainly going to give us clearer insights into what priorities will be, timescales, and how probably all the things that we've seen discussed will unfold and really impact people in the market.
Katie, I think that's a brilliant overview of the horizon. So I do appreciate you going through that in such detail and explaining it. I want to drill down a little bit in terms of the changes for the property market that landlords and agents should be aware of. So can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah. So in terms of any other changes, do you mean in the market?
Yes.
Yeah, so anything else kind of outside of the government. So yes, simply yes, there's lots of changes. Property is constantly evolving. I think anybody in the market, we're all aware of that. There's always new stuff to pay close attention to. Labour's reforms are understandably dominating headlines at the minute, but there's certainly other trends that are going to have an impact as well. Particularly, let's talk about EICRs and also
Yes.
shortage of electricians. So there is going to be an impending surge in EICRs, and that's equally important for landlords and agents to consider alongside any changes from government and in legislation. So many properties are starting to approach their 5-year renewal cycles. Landlords are going to need to ensure that EICRs are inspected and certified in time. However, that task in itself is becoming increasingly challenging because there is a talked about notable shortage of qualified electricians. In 2025, Fixed Flow are predicting there's going to be a shortage of 15,000, and that's driven by a combination of high demand and limited supply, which ultimately will make that EICR inspection process much more difficult to organise, longer waiting times, etc. So what does it actually mean for the market? It's essential to be proactive, I think. Plan, stay ahead, schedule the ICRs well in advance to avoid those kind of last minute scrambles, and just be aware of potential compliance challenges, what your compliance dates and deadlines are, and make sure you're kind of ahead of the picture so that you can really plan with that.
Brilliant. Katie, in terms of the landlords, how can they get ahead for preparing both government changes and the upcoming, surge in ICRs?
I think that's a great question. Can we get ahead? That's probably also another question, but I think start with what's simple. So I think it's all about being proactive and prepared. Regarding the government changes, all we can do is really stay informed. Keep ears to the ground, keep an eye on updates from reliable sources outside of potentially some of the scaremongering we've seen in media. So look at the NALA updates, look at the Gov UK updates themselves, and additionally kind of property ombudsman. They're always providing insights into maintaining standards, legislations, changes, guidance, etc. So some really good outlets to go to for updates. On the EICR front especially, many properties are starting to approach that 5-year renewal mark. And like we said before, planning now is key. Booking your inspections early, it's got to be a priority. And make sure you're reviewing those inspection schedules, arranging for renewals ahead so it's not last minute, and that potential shortage of electricians and local electricians doesn't impact you. It's also where technology platforms can help, so especially Symple, and we can really make a difference. We're all about using technology to simplify management. If you're a landlord, our platform will handle the entire process of booking your EICR from one click. We offer timely reminders. You simply press book, and we take care of the arranging, the chasing, the arranging everything with tenants, etc. And we also offer a guarantee. So if we don't deliver your certificates on time, then they're free. So it's a great way to get those done. And it's the same for letting agents. We provide the most reliable nationwide service, almost operating like an extension of your management team itself, or indeed your CRM, meaning you can count on us for on-time delivery of those certificates, reduce admin, and really enhance efficiency. So I think by staying informed, using technology where possible, it's all you can do to probably be well prepared for any changes from government or also in trends and in the market.
Thanks, Katie. And coming on to Symple, can you tell me a little bit more about what we can expect from you over, say, the next 6 months?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got some really exciting developments in the pipeline. As a tech product, we're constantly looking at what we can do better, how we can make things more efficient. And one thing we really pride ourselves on is customer service. So every new development we bring to market is really kind of driven by demand from our customer base. So they're really key in helping us shape what we bring to market and prioritize what we do as well. So we are just about to introduce the non-emergency and emergency call-outs for landlords and agents. It will obviously provide an extra layer of protection and peace of mind by covering those emergency and non-emergency repairs and service that we don't do currently. So it's really designed to help with those unexpected issues without the stress of kind of finding immediate help or bearing costs out of pocket. So that's really driven by demand from customers as well. So that is an imminent change. So you're likely to see more on that in the coming weeks. Then I guess for agents specifically, probably, or those much larger portfolio landlords, we're also working on CRM integration. So aiming to essentially connect Symple seamlessly with existing CRM systems like Auto. It'll just streamline workflows and make it much easier to manage compliance. Current CRMs currently maybe alert you to upcoming renewals, but with this integration, you'll then be able to automate the kind of next step of the processes. So track certificates, manage communications, and have that all done within the systems that you're already using. So the enhancements above are part of just the simple commitments, I guess, to making property management smoother and more efficient. And I think it's just probably an insight of what we're planning. So definitely stay tuned because there are some exciting updates to come, but I'll certainly probably be in trouble if I give you any more information.
That's enough of a sneak peek. That's enough of a sneak peek. But Katie,
Indeed.
I just want to say, thank you so much for coming on the show, explaining everything, going through the stuff, and explaining the journey over potentially the next 6 months that you're able to share. So I do really appreciate it, and thank you so much.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you for having us. It's great to talk to you, and hopefully some informative insights without too much of a waffle there for you.
No, definitely. Katie, thank you so much.